Get ready to get in the game. Stretch, strengthen, live, and thrive. You can be a winning athlete in the game of life. It's the Peel Appeal with author and corrective exercise specialist Matt Peel.
Hey, this is Matt Peel with the Peel Appeal podcast. What's going on today out there? How are you? Are you driving? Are you lifting weights? Are you contemplating lifting weights? Maybe you should go lift weights anyways. Why would I say that? Maybe it feeds into what we're going to talk about today. Lifting weights, which of course we want to do anyways, but what is the point of lifting weights, right? We want to get stronger. We want to put some muscle on. So today's topic is definitely related to muscle and putting that on, but it's a little different topic because the majority of people out there want to lose weight, right? Well, so what can I do for weight loss? Weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. Today, we're going to flip that around and we're going to talk a little bit about muscle gain. Yes, that some weight is incorporated with that, of course, but let's focus on muscle gain. So we're going to talk about muscle gain eating strategies. See, at some point I'll be able to talk. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow, but we'll manage our way through this. So muscle gain is a lot harder than weight loss, especially doing it the right way, right? It's easy to put on weight. A lot of people do, fast food, processed food, lots of soft drinks, lots of booze. Boom, there's a recipe right there to put on 15 to 20 pounds. But that's the wrong way, right? We want to put on muscle. So there's a formula and there's a way to do it properly. So what is that process to do so? Let's get into it and see. So yes, teenage boys around the world, or at least here in the United States, are famous for wanting to get big, right? I was one of them. Maybe I still am one of them. And one day I'll grow up to be about 6'2" or 6'3". I'm still waiting for that to happen. Hasn't yet. So the kids want to get big. I get parents asking me all the time, how can my teenage boy get bigger? He wants to get bigger. He wants to get bigger. Well, he will. Just give him some time as he matures. But let's talk about you right here, right now. Yes, you ladies who maybe want to put on some muscle. I work with also a number of females who ask me, how can I put some muscle on? It's not necessarily, again, about gaining 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, but they want to put some muscle on. So how can we do it appropriately with nutrition and with lifting? So there are ways to do it. The first way you got to do it, though, is in the gym. If you're not in the gym and if you're not lifting heavy enough, appropriate weights, it doesn't matter what you eat. So this is where volume comes into play with how many sets and how many reps we're doing per body part every single week. If you're doing 3 full body workouts a week, 3 sets of each for each body part, so that's 3 times 3 is 9. All right, so that's, say, 9 sets for your chest, your back, your shoulders, what I say, your push legs, like your quads. That's not enough. You're going to have to do more each week. We're talking like 15 to 20 sets per body part per week. And that's what I do. So we're going to get into a little bit of an example of how you can split this. So maybe I always go opposing muscle groups and do supersets. So I still get my volume, but I'm not in the gym for 2.5 hours lifting weights. I mean, who the hell has time for that? I sure don't. I do have a job. Yes, part of my job is to work out, but it's only for about an hour or so, maybe hour and 10, 15 max. Then I have clients. I have things to do, like record this podcast. So I got to get in and get out quickly, just like you do. So let's go like chest and back, for example, on Monday. So you can superset. You can do 4 exercises of 4 sets. So that's 16 sets for chest, corresponding with 16 sets for your back. Maybe on Tuesday, you do hamstrings with, say, your arms or your biceps and your triceps. And say those are kind of your smaller muscles to an extent. Hamstring's still a pretty big muscle. You got to work on that. So maybe you do 12 sets for each body part, and you do some circuits in there. So you do a leg curl with the bicep curl, and maybe some tricep extensions on the cable machine. You do 4 sets of exercises and 3 different circuits. So that's 12, right? That's a lot more volume than you were in the past. That's a whole nother exercise. And then say Wednesday you come in and you do your shoulders and your push legs, or things like squats and lunges and deadlifts, maybe some plyometrics. You get 16 sets of those like you did on Monday with chest stack, right? So now we're at 16 for your biggies, a little bit less for your small muscles, but they're still getting work with your chest and your back and with your shoulders. Trust me, they're not neglected. You take a day off, and then on Thursday, maybe you get in some cardio, and then Friday you come in, and now you do a total body workout, and you do, say, 4 sets per body part, superset mixed in with some different things, but you still have volume. So now you're talking 20 sets for each major body part, and you're down to, whatever, math is hard, 16 sets for your bis, tris, and your hamstrings. That's where it starts with on gaining muscle. You got to put in the volume first so that then your nutrition can support you. You can't just eat more and lift the same. Now you probably will gain weight, but it's not the kind of weight that you're talking about. So let's get a little bit more detailed now on the nutrition side of it, right? What can we really do to have that nutrition reinforce what we're doing on the lifting side? So I'm getting some information here from a gentleman who I've done so before in other podcasts. His name is Danny Lennon. He's the owner of Sigma Nutrition, and he has a master's in nutritional sciences. So you can look him up and get some more information from him if you so desire. He did a continuing education unit for us as I just finished out my latest recertification here with NASM. So I'm going to use some of his information because, yes, he's accredited more than I am, and so I'm just going to share it with you. So what he talks about as far as protein consumption is, one, spreading it out throughout the day. It's not just having 2 meals and gorging yourself on protein and having very little carbohydrates and saying, all right, I did it, right? So we want to spread it out throughout the day. Say like having your 3 meals with 30 grams of protein each. So really, how does that break down? So what Danny is saying is you need to have a daily protein intake about 1.6 grams per kilo per day, right? That's a little bit more than what you would normally have. So for me, math is hard, right? So let's get out my handy dandy calculator on my phone, and I weigh 168, right? Divided by 2.2 puts me at 76 kilos. That's how much I weigh. Times 1.6 gives me 122 grams of protein that I need to consume a day. Okay. What's your weight? You got to figure that out. Divided by 2.2, that gives you it in kilos, times 1.6, and that tells you how much protein you need to have. So what Danny also says is that if you have in more than 2.5 grams per kilo per day, there's really no benefit. You're just having more, and in that standpoint, you're just going to get fat, which is not what the point of this. So there is kind of a limit to say, well, I need to just pound it on and pound it on. Nah, you really don't. Use that formula. So what Danny suggests is about 4 high protein meals equally spread out throughout the day. So if I did that divided by 4 for me, 122 divided by 4, bingo, 30.5 grams of protein per meal. All right. That's what I would be shooting for if I want to do some muscle gain. And now Danny quotes a number of studies to support this. I'm not going to go into all the different names of the studies, but this guy's got a master's in nutritional science, so we'll just take it at that. So again, for me, that'd be my 4 meals with 30 grams of protein spread out throughout the day. For you, maybe something around there, not real sure, but at least you can figure that out. Overall, what you want to eat, kind of like compared to the surplus, is you want to eat 8 to 10% more calories per day above your maintenance intake, or like your resting metabolic rate. How many calories does it take to operate your body? So if it takes your body, say 1,500 calories just to live, and you're going to need to eat 8 to 10% more, okay? So that would be times 1 point, let's say 0.08 on the bottom end, would mean you need to consume 1,620 calories per day above, or 120 more calories per day above your resting metabolic rate. That's not eating a shit ton of food, right? I think that's where we sometimes get confused. And if you're a 16-year-old boy playing football or basketball or soccer at school, you're burning a lot more. So that doesn't really apply. It's hard to apply this to you. But if you're someone just middle-aged who's working behind a desk all day, kind of watches what they eat, but would like to put some muscle on, this is where we got to be a lot more careful with not consuming too much, because then it just becomes stored fat, right? So it's important to stay within that. So we're talking about 8 to 10% more calories above what your resting metabolic rate is, or your your maintenance calories on a daily basis. So how do we break that down, right? We want to get the right amount of still macros. So I talked to you about your protein, how much protein we should get a day. If you're just kind of a run-of-the-mill Joe and Jane, which you probably are, and so am I, your carbohydrates can really be in your standard adherence to your daily performance. So about 1 gram per kilo per day is pretty good for your carbohydrates. So just keep on eating what you're eating. You don't need a whole shit ton more of carbohydrates. Just continue what you are. Carbs are easy to get, fruits, vegetables, still whole grains. That's where we want to get our carbs from. We don't want to have a lot of sugars and soft drinks involved with that. So try to still make sure you have your carbs from a more natural source. Now I'll talk about fat. Fat is easy to get having more protein, meaning more meat. Fat's a natural byproduct on there. So we still want to watch we're not having a whole lot of fat just because we're having meat. So what Danny is saying is that we should limit our saturated fat to no more than 10% of our calories per day. So he's saying overall, on a fat diet, you can range between 0.7 and 1.5 grams per kilos per day, or let's make it easier, and this is what I kind of work with my clients on, right around the 20% of your daily caloric basis can be from fat. If you want a little bit higher and a little bit less carbs, you can get up to 35%, but right around 20% is really a lifestyle way of keeping your fat range. So if you average that and are tracking it, then that's really right where you want to be at all the time. So how do we get this done overall? Well, let's say you want to increase your weight by about 1 to 2% per month. So if I weigh 168 and I want to increase my body weight, by 1% per month. So that means that would be 1 pound, right? 1 pound a month. That's a lot harder to do than it is to drop 5 pounds a month. I'll tell you that. So protein, we're talking 1.6 to 2.0 grams per kilo per day. Fat, right around 0.7 to 1.5, so right around 20%. And then your carbs will be the remainder of your calories. Fiber, want to get in some fiber because we got to help push that protein through our system. If we're not getting fiber, then that's how you get stopped up. And ain't nobody got time to be stopped up on a daily basis. So having 14 grams per fiber minimum per 1,000 calories that you consume. So if with your 8 to 10% above your maintenance is, say, 2,000 calories, you're going to need 28 grams of fiber every single day. And again, we want to get that from our food, from eating the skin on our fruits and vegetables and starches, things like that. That's where you want to get a lot of your fiber from. Sure, some whole grains, but a lot from fruits and vegetables because they have other great properties involved with that. So, all right, Matt, I got it. You're saying, I got it. I'm going to track my macros. I'm going to track my calories. I'm going to figure out how the hell I can put on an extra pound, maybe pound and a half of weight or muscle per month. But can't I use some supplements? Sure, absolutely you can. And there's three supplements that have been scientifically researched that work. Number one, I'm sure you've heard of it. I've been on it for years and still use it. Creatine monohydrate. That's a great supplement, men and women. Yes, there's a lot of science coming out now for women in your 40s, how important creatine is to you for maintaining your muscle mass. It's great for everybody. So creatine. 2, caffeine, getting that boost of energy, helping you perform more, helping you to get more of your lifting done. Yes, that's where pre-workout powders come in because if you look from the label, make sure they have both. There's a lot of pre-workout powders out there that don't have creatine. They just have a bunch of shit in there to get you all jacked up and ready to rip the roof off. They don't have creatine. Manage your caffeine tolerance because, again, there's a lot of stuff in there that is not necessarily regulated and in this proprietary blend. So who the hell knows how much is in it? But it'll tell you how much creatine monohydrate is in there. So make sure you have some of that in. And then some of the nitrates like the beta-alanine, citrulline malate. Those are some vasodilators that help. Some amino acids, not type acids, they are amino acids to help you with blood flow. And then finally, what everybody's heard about their entire lives, protein powder. Yep, it's good to have some good protein powder. So, but you supplement with it. We're still leading with our 30 calories per meal. 30 grams of protein per meal. If there's something going on where you can't get that 30 grams of protein per your meal, that's where a protein powder comes in. We're not relying on protein shakes throughout the day to give us our nutrients in replace of food. So get that protein powder in where you need it. Sure, right after your workout. Or hey, you need that meal replacement shake because you're on the road where you don't have time to actually sit down and have some food. Then that's where your protein powder, that's where the meal replacement, hence the word, helps you out. So those are your 3 supplements that are going to definitely help you with gaining muscle mass. Right? So again, that's creatine, a little bit of caffeine to get your boost going, and then protein powders when food cannot be eaten. Cool? Awesome. I know you're going to be able to handle this. So weight gain requires patience. Remember, we're talking 1 pound of body weight per month, not even per week, per month. It's a lot harder to do that than weight loss. So it requires patience and the same attention to detail as weight loss is in your tracking, making sure you're 8 to 10% above your resting metabolic rate in total calories and getting those 30 grams of protein per meal, right? Don't just eat more. You also got to lift more. So make sure your volume of sets is up, sets and reps. 15 at the minimum per body part, up into even more. Once you bring that together, then your nutrition supports your working out. And now you got the winning formula, right? Just simply eating more of the good stuff at the end of the day. If you don't use it, just going to make you fat. So you got to do both. Hope you learned something today, because I know I did when I was going through that CEU. So I'm sure you did too. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, like, share the Peel Appeal podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Go to my website, mattpeel.com, listen to past episodes, sign up for my weekly newsletter, check out my Stretch at Your Desk and Strengthen at Your Desk online programs. And hey, you know what else you can do? Why don't you order my book? That's a great resource too. Tells you some great nutrition information and how your body ages and how you need and what you can do to help respond to the effects of aging. So this is Matt Peel with the Peel Appeal podcast. Until next time, have an amazing day.
Are you ready to get in the game? Get personal help, sign up for our newsletter, and pick up your copy of Athlete in the Game of Life, the book, all at mattpeel.com. Thanks for listening.